So, what is the Grape Explorer talking about today? Well, one of the top chateaus in all of Bordeaux is Chateau Cheval Blanc. And we have a unique opportunity to talk about not only the history of Cheval Blanc, but some bottles that are available through direct wine domains. But the interesting thing about Cheval Blanc is its location. And the location is in the ancient gravel plateau of St Emilion. And it's quite a unique difference between a lot of St Emilion Grand Cru Classé, which are located near the medieval town of St Emilion. And surrounding that town, you have a lot of limestone and chalk, which exists in the soil. But unique to this area on the gravel plateau is that the soil composition there is got these small rocks, and it's very flat. It does not have any hills. It has maybe some gentle slopes, but it also, unique enough as it is, borders Pomerol, and part of Cheval Blanc actually borders and straddles two top outstanding domains in Pomerol. One you have La Conseillon, and the other one is L'Avengile. So, but Chateau Cheval Blanc, because of that soil composition, uses a high percentage of Cabernet Franc in the vineyard because of that soil. So the Cabernet Franc, which historically was called Boucher, is predominant in the final blend of Cheval Blanc. That's good news and that's bad news, because sometimes Cabernet Franc doesn't ripen properly. So if it's not a Cabernet Franc year, tendencies are that there's going to be a predominance of Merlot, obviously, in the cut. But when it's on target to ripen properly and exploit itself in this gravel, it becomes probably the top wine all in the right bank of Bordeaux. So the Hebrard family was the original owners of this property. And they had it way back in the early 19th century. Hugh Johnson called this wine the Mouton of St Emilion, and the reason why is because it's this high percentage of Cabernet Franc makes the wines quite powerful and dense. And obviously these wines do not show well at a young early stage, and they usually do get more depth, more richness as the wines age, and more, of course, more elegance. So, interestingly enough, in 1981, Robert Parker had a chance to review the 81 vintage of Cheval Blanc, and he gave the wine not such a stellar review. And I think that, in all due fairness to Robert Parker, the wines probably weren't showing that well. And when he came back the next year, which is 1982, the year that made him so famous in Bordeaux, the owner at that time, Hebrard, actually sicked his dog onto Robert Parker as he entered the property, and the dog basically really gashed him a bit, and it wasn't a pleasant visit at that time. But when Robert Parker did come back later on to taste the 1981, he said that he misjudged on this wine, and the wine had actually changed and evolved and got much better in the bottle, much to the tribute of the chateau. But at the same time, I do feel that because of this Cabernet Franc position of 66%, which is quite high, that's why the wines probably don't show as well. The property was devastated in 1956 during the severe frost of 56 that pretty much wiped out not only that part of St Emilion, but Pomerol as well. The gravel plateau didn't fare as well as the côte or the slopes of St Emilion that protected the vines a bit from that severity. But because this area has this gravelly kind of soil, of course, very, very difficult to weather that cold. So the vines that year were really wiped out. They had to replant the vines in 57, didn't really start production back up. Did make a wine in 61, which was classic Cheval Blanc. Got back to form, but at the same time, because this wine is on the very edge of Pomerol, there was another problem in 2003, because that area, again, because it's so gravel, it became very hot, very warm, and so it was a little troublesome for Cheval Blanc. The Cabernet Franc didn't set properly, and even in Pomerol, a lot of the wines of 2003 got declassified because of that intense heat. So the gravel is a blessing, and sometimes the blessing turns disastrous for this vineyard, but when Cheval Blanc is on, they are very much on. So today the vineyard is owned by two gentlemen. One is Bernard Arnault, who is the chairman of the luxury goods LVMH, and also Belgian multi-millionaire Albert Frère. And the interesting situation here too is the manager. I've got a chance to meet Pierre Lurton a number of times in Bordeaux. He's one of the true gentlemen of Bordeaux. They also own Chateau Cheval as well. So it shows you today that the power in St Emilion is switching gears, and you're starting to see a lot of this where a lot of the families, like the Hebrard family, just could not keep up with the renovation and the sophistication of today's stainless steel equipment and all of the technology. So these two gentlemen had come in and really changed the dynamics of St Emilion and of Cheval Blanc today. But the interesting thing about these bottles, I wanted to zoom in also just to give you a heads up here. We've got to the left, to the far left, a 1976 Cheval Blanc, and also the two bottles in the middle are 1979, and the other bottle to the far right is 1995. The 76 is $249 a bottle, and I know in today's scheme of things, in today's prices, people still look at a bottle at $250 and think that's fairly high. But just to give you an upside, the 2010 is now $1,800 a bottle, and they are becoming luxury goods. Like Bernard Arnault probably sees Cheval Blanc as in the Chateau today. The 279s are $239 a bottle. Both 76 and 79 were quite good vintages, not on the capacity of 1982, but at the same time, they are very good wines, ready to drink. Again, Cheval Blanc ages so well that these wines would be perfect right now to drink. The 1995 was a tremendous vintage in St Emilion, and of course Cheval Blanc was one of the stars. That comes in at 566. We do have a case of 12. But if you look in the scheme of things, and this is the way that the Bordeaux business is heading in the last at least few years, the prices have just jumped. So they are now double in price. 2009, about $1,200 a bottle. And again, the iconic 2010, which again, everybody says it's a 100-point wine, but at $1,800 a bottle, it's a little bit beyond the realm of paying and waiting, because you're going to have to wait, obviously, 30, 40 years before that wine showcases that true elegance and the true sophistication that Cheval Blanc has to offer. So at least just to recap, we're probably the only ones in the country that have 1976 and at $249 a bottle. That's about the auction price. Of course, a lot more money in Europe. And the 279s, which are $239, and the 1995, a full case at $566. To me, that is an exceptional value as opposed to what is going on now between 2009 and 2010. A little more of a reality check for Cheval Blanc. Anyway, these are terrific wines. I love Cheval Blanc. It's always been considered to me and Ozone the two finest wines in all of St Emilion. This past year, St Emilion elevated two wines to Premier Cru status, which is Chateau Pavie and Chateau Angelus. Those wines have jumped now to $500 to $800 a bottle. So in the scheme of things, these Cheval Blancs are realistically priced and true value for the connoisseur who actually would love to enjoy, because you can drink these wines today.